What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Youth Ministry. Today, we're going to be honest, practical, and sometimes we're a little bit goofy. That talking about all things youth ministry. So, once again, I'm Josh.
And I'm Caleb, and today we're giving a big shout out to those who often go unseen and unheard.
That's right. We are talking about the unsung heroes. And you may be thinking, Josh, what's the unsung heroes? That's our chaperones, and that is our volunteers. These are the people who make the van rides bearable, the lock-ins manageable, and the mission trips possible. And if we're being honest, youth ministry doesn't happen without them. I mean, Caleb, I've never seen a successful youth group run on one tired youth minister and a prayer. We got to have boots on the ground, and these are where the folks come in and help us.
And we need people to make sure that we don't leave one of our kids at Buc-ee's. We need to make sure that we don't leave kids at Six Flags. We need to make sure that
the sad truth that has happened.
And chaperones pour into students. They bring energy. They help behind the scenes. And sometimes, let's just be real, they save our sanity as youth ministers. And so today we're breaking down how we use volunteers, what are the processes that happen with that, how we develop them, and perhaps even how we honor them.
If we're being honest as well, not only do they save our sanity, but sometimes they take away our sanity.
Well, we're just not going to deal with that.
It just depends on the situation. I mean,
Right.
we're laughing about the Six Flags and Buc-ee's thing, and the sad part is it's actually true. That's actually happened. Both times.
Right.
The first time was we were on a Six Flags trip. This was way before. I don't even know if I've told you this story.
Listen, none of these stories involve me. I just want to make that point clear.
Yeah, neither one of them involved Caleb. But the first time we were at Six Flags, we had this guy. I'm not going to say who it is because he may watch it, but he fell asleep this is back when Johnny Rockets was still at Six Flags. And he got overheated, and so he goes, I'm going to go lay down in the AC. And the only building that really had good AC was Johnny Rockets. And we all get back on the bus to go to the hotel. And finally, one of his friends goes, hey, where's so-and-so? And you just hear the brakes squeal, and we just turn around and go back in. And it was the funniest thing ever. And the second one was one of your kids currently.
Right.
And her friends just left her in Buc-ee's, and we're on the way to Gulf Shores, and luckily we're right outside of Gulf Shores, but we just remember just hearing, hey, where's and we're just like, oh, great. We just had to turn around and go back and get her.
Right.
But yeah, this episode is all about our volunteers, our chaperones. I want to start with this, though. If your volunteers feel like they're just a seat filler or a babysitter, we're doing it wrong.
That's right.
Our job as youth ministers isn't just to recruit volunteers, it's to equip them and empower them, meaning show them how they can be involved. Show them how they can lead the group, especially if neither one of us are there, Every person who steps into our ministry, whether they're helping with the food, transportation, small groups, or maybe even security in a way, they are part of the discipleship pipeline. They're not just helping us either. They're helping shape the next generation for Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these chaperones help us teach.
That's right.
Some of the chaperones, I don't know about you. Actually, I do know about this, but neither one of us are in the kitchen.
That's right.
When it comes to retreats.
Mm-hmm.
We have people that cook for us. We have people that drive for us. We have people that teach for us. We got to stop treating them like they're extra bodies and start treating them like they're ministry partners.
That's right. Josh, this is interesting because when we were on last summer, we did our first international mission trip in a long time as Henderson Church of Christ. And we went to Costa Rica. And there were some people who were like, why are you taking so many adults? Because for every one kid, I had an adult. And
I was the one that said that.
And you were like, why are you taking so many adults? And this conversation is why I took that many adults. This is why. Because here's the thing. We all know the sticky faith curriculum. We all know the sticky faith thing where a teenager needs 5 people who are pouring into them that are not their parents, And so if I don't provide as a youth minister, if I don't provide those 5 people who get to pour into those kids, then perhaps I'm not doing what I need to be doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, like, we took a lot of adults, but it was personal. It was one-on-one. It was this kid got to be with this chaperone, and this chaperone got to pour into that kid, and it was beautiful, and it was intergenerational, and it was awesome. And I'll tell you what, every single person on that trip appreciated having an adult that they didn't get to talk to on a normal basis.
Mm.
And so it was awesome. It was incredible. I would rather have too many chaperones than not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to helping people, helping kids, and discipling them. And I think sometimes when it comes down to who is our chaperones, we pick the same people every time. And it's because we assume that they know how to help. Right? Like, we just throw them in and it's like, okay, well, you've done this before, here, just do it again. And it's, or you helped at retreat, so now you're going to go help on mission trip. And it's like, no, those are 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
And those are 2 different environments, and those are 2 different atmospheres. And so we need to make sure that our chaperones have a vision. They have a goal. Perhaps they need clarity. I try to give as much context to my chaperones as I possibly can, because 1, there's a communication input, right? How are you going to communicate to the chaperones? Because you can let the chaperones know that you're stressed out as a youth minister. You can let them know that, and they can help you. But as soon as the kids know that the youth minister is stressed out, it's game over.
Mm-hmm.
It's game over. And so our chaperones are our next line of defense. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the thing. So it's sitting down with the chaperones before the event, whatever event it is, and like, hey, here's the schedule. Hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're going to tweak the schedule, and here's yada 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 yada. That goes such a long way in your ministry, because you're allowing other people to, 1, have a voice, but number 2, they have a role, and it's not just I'm just here.
Yeah, structure and clarity are very key. I try to keep that very involved. I don't know about you, but I have a parents group chat. So if I make any type of changes or, to the trip, or I need more chaperones, that's where I text first. I have a group chat for my parents. I have a group chat for my chaperones that are on that trip as well. As soon as we get on the bus, I make a group chat. Everything that's involved when it comes to where we're going, what's the plan. I constantly try to remind them. Tonight isn't about just crowd control either. I try to remind them it's about connection. When volunteers understand the why behind what they're doing, they feel like they're a part of something bigger. You want to make them feel like they're needed, not that they're just there. I have a family that's going on our upcoming trip to Atlanta, and I didn't have a CDL driver, and he happened to be a CDL driver. And I said, hey, I really need you for this. And it just made him say yes even quicker.
Because he has a purpose.
Because there's a purpose. They have a purpose. So let's be honest, too. Sometimes you have volunteers or chaperones that aren't the most excited about going on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. It happens. But they keep showing up. And it's a good thing. They want to be there. They may not have the best attitude, but they keep showing up, not out of obligation, but out of a purpose. That makes sense?
Yeah, and so, Josh, there's different types of volunteers, right? So you have your spiritual pourers, is what I like to call them. Yeah. These are people who are on the front line of like spiritual formation, okay? I've made it a point that I'm going to bring up spiritual formation at least once in every episode, and here we go. So these are the people who are leading the small groups. These are people who build the relationships intentionally. These are people who go on mission trips, and they're directly pouring into people and into the spiritual lives of people. And then you have some who are more behind the scenes, where they don't feel comfortable in teaching. They don't want to be up front, but they serve in big ways in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
They serve in big ways in the planning. They serve in big ways of driving the bus, of cleanup, of whatever. And then you have your core group of chaperones who are at everything. It doesn't matter what it is. These are the people who are the first ones to sign up for the lock-in because nobody else wants to, right? These are the people who are strong during the fifth quarter when nobody else wants to be at fifth quarter after a football game.
Honestly, I think the strongest one was the lock-ins, not the fifth quarter.
Well, I mean, even
the fifth quarter was more doable than the lock-ins. I mean, I'm telling you.
I agree completely, but I don't like either one of them.
I always loved them because I brought my griddle and I sat there and cooked.
Right.
The lock-ins.
And so you have different spaces that people feel. You have different roles that people feel. And as a youth minister, if you need to fill all of those roles, because you're not a one-man band. It takes a community. And that community is revolving around building other people and bringing other people to Jesus. And so why not make space for people? And it's not about guilt tripping people into, hey, please do this. Because maybe they're not wired for that. Maybe that's not their spiritual strength. But it is about seeing a spiritual strength in somebody and plugging them into a need that you have. What are you laughing at?
You're gonna have to cut this out.
What are you laughing at? That was such a powerful moment.
No. You're good. You can cut out when I started laughing. Right when I started, but I read your next line that says, "I have a volunteer named Miss Darlene." But that woman will have hot chocolate and marshmallows ready at every winter event, and the kids just love her for it. Tell me that line was ChatGPT.
I've got a volunteer named Sharon, who
you can change it. Like, I have a volunteer named Miss D, who loves to cook. All right,
I've got a volunteer named Sharon.
3, 2, 1. And Kaleb, not every volunteer wants to lead a small group, and that's okay. One of the biggest mistakes that sometimes I make early on is trying to force everyone to have a role. Yes, you want your chaperones to be as involved as possible, but to go back to what you said, you'd rather have more chaperones than not enough. Here's the thing on a trip. You got the space, bring more people. You can only fill so many seats with kids until nobody else wants to go.
That's right.
If you got extra seats on a trip and you got extra tickets, fill it with some chaperones. Have just a couple extra people that are willing just to walk around at Six Flags with a group. They may not want to go on a ride. They may not care anything about going to a baseball game, and that's fine. But just having people having their eyes on the kids, making sure they're doing what they need to do, is everything. Try not to force everyone to have a role, but have enough spots that people can have a role. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because ministry is a body as a whole. It's a whole. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, there are many parts, but we are all one body. Right?
That's right.
One body makes up the church. In the same way, one body makes up our youth group. It makes how it works in the same way. Some folks have the hands. Some of them have the feet. Some of them are clearly there just to make the coffee.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
And all of them matter, especially
Absolutely.
when you need something like energy.
And Josh, here's the really funny thing that you say that you don't even like coffee.
Yeah, I know. I hate it. I
And
love the
so,
smell of it.
and so, like, I will drink it. I just give me the whole pot. Just like the
Can
pot.
you can you get energy off of just smelling coffee? Just
I,
ground coffee.
I don't think so. And I really hated that you just sniffed your microphone like that. That was so weird. Stop, stop, stop. I'm not cutting this out.
I don't care. They're seeing a real side of Josh. If you haven't known already, Josh is a little weird.
Josh, here's the thing. We were talking about the Costa Rica trip and the chaperones that went on them. We called the adult and the kid airport buddies. Your partners, airport partners, airport buddies.
Sorry.
Right? And you know what's really cool? I've
What?
got one. They still talk to each other
Very cool.
to this day. Like those airport buddies, and they talk to each other, and they just say, "Hey, missing you. Hope everything's doing well and everything." And they told me on Sunday, "Hey, I reached out to my airport buddy," and I was like, "That's so cool." Because that they would not. It's one of those people that they would not intentionally talk to unless that happened.
Yeah.
And that's the value of it. It is showing Christ through. Hey, you know what? You two are going to get through DFW Airport, or I think it was Houston Airport. You're going to get through Houston Airport together. Don't wait for Kaleb. Y'all two just get to the gate because we got to go. Because we had a 55-minute layover from a domestic flight to an international flight, which is not a long time.
No.
And, that's the thing is there is a connection and an intergenerational thing that is created through that. And that is something that I will never apologize and that I cannot have enough value for. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And we have to recognize that as well. We have to start celebrating our volunteers better.
That's right.
Which brings us to a really great point, and that's called appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if we only thank our volunteers once a year with a donut or a Facebook shout out, we're missing it. But granted, those donuts, they slap different. I got to be honest. Okay.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, I do like some donuts. But these people are giving their time. Some of them are taking time off from work. Some of them are taking
time.
They're taking vacation time. Some of them are taking their time away from their families to go on trips. Right. They're giving energy, sometimes money, to our youth group to be a part of this ministry. We need to celebrate them like we celebrate our students.
And it doesn't have to be a lot, Josh.
Mm-mm.
It could be a handwritten note. It could be a text message. It could be, because some people don't like to be called up front. Mm-hmm. That's their worst fear, is to be recognized. But, maybe just giving them, here in Henderson, we've got this place called Besso's. Maybe giving them a $5 or $10 Besso's gift card and just saying, hey, go get a drink on me because I appreciate you. And I appreciate what you do for the youth group. Mm-hmm. I wonder how that would go and the ways that would go for people. I don't know. There's just a thought.
We've got to build a culture where volunteers feel seen, where they feel valued, where they feel needed. Because when we do, it's not just better for them, but it's better for the students.
That's right.
If your volunteers are more involved, if your volunteers feel like they're needed, they want to be around for the students. And at the end of the day, it's all about the students. When the students see adults consistently showing up and investing in their lives, it changes the way that they start viewing the church. It becomes natural. It becomes a family. It becomes real.
So, Josh, let's get practical. Let's as we start to land this plane on our airstrip.
That is my saying, not yours.
I took it. As we start to land the plane on the airstrip, let's get practical. What are some things that youth ministers can do this week to better use and facilitate and be appreciative of their volunteers?
Well, I'd say this. Communicate early, clearly, and consistently. Mm-hmm. Whether it's for a Sunday night Devo, a summer trip, get your information to your volunteers way ahead of time. You don't want to give it to them a week ahead because then you're not going to have anybody.
That's right.
Don't just tell them what's happening. Tell them why it matters. Make them feel like they're insiders, not afterthoughts.
Mm,
You know?
mm,
Here's the biggest thing. Shout out to Matty Ice for a second. He was on our third episode.
mm-hmm.
Matt always thinks that he's fourth place or whatever it's called. Fourth place? Is that fourth place? Is that what he calls himself?
I don't know.
I don't know. I asked him to do something one time, and he was like, "Who have you asked before me?" And I told him. He goes, so I'm fourth place or something.
Oh no.
I don't know, but don't just make them think that they're not important. Make them feel like they are important, because when you do that, you're going to see the chaperones and volunteers buy in.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna love it. They're gonna want to be involved. They're gonna ask you, "Hey, when's the next trip?" That's what I would say. Communicate early, clearly, and consistently.
And it's okay to ask questions. Your chaperones are people who have feelings, who have lives. And so, as a minister, sit down. Ask them, what do you enjoy? What do you not like? What drains you? What builds you up? That conversation can help you place people in their correct roles that let them use their spiritual talent, their gift to bring glory and honor to God.
Mm-hmm.
It's about you facilitating that. And so it's about making sure and helping our chaperones thrive and not burn out.
Yeah. By the way, it's not fourth place. It was fourth choice. There we go.
Fourth
That's what he
choice.
called.
That's it.
That's what he called himself, and I couldn't remember that. But just want you to know, Matty Ice, you are not fourth choice.
He does watch our videos.
You're fifth. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh my goodness, I love that man though. He's great. Matt. If y'all don't know Matt Barker, if you haven't watched the third episode, go watch it. He's a great guy. Love him. I want to be able to make that joke if you did actually love the guy. But
that's awesome.
Here's the thing. Youth ministry isn't a solo act, okay? It's a team sport. These unsung heroes, our chaperones, our volunteers, our helpers, they are the backbone of everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
We have to love them as well. We have to lead them as well and never take them for granted.
Josh, I couldn't have said it better. You know what? For our listeners, thank you for hanging out with us today. If you're a volunteer listening to, if you are a volunteer listening to this episode, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for what you do. Thank you for loving kids. Thank you for loving us. And thank you for making a difference in the lives of people.
And if you're a youth minister or a leader out there, this may make you uncomfortable, but go hug your volunteers. You don't have to hug them, but let them know, hey, I'm thankful for you. Don't let them just feel like they're just there to help. Actually feel like they're... Yeah, go greet them. Make them feel...
Go greet them with the holy kiss.
All right. Not metaphorically. But, like... I mean, you can do what you want. I would just say give them a side hug. But, I mean, if you want to greet them with a holy kiss, I mean, by all means, go for it. Unless that's just weird for you. Then maybe just give them a gift card. Like you said, give them a gift card to coffee or something. Either way, love on your people. Let them know that you appreciate them.
That's right. Well, that's all we got for you folks today. Thank you for joining us on Real Talk Youth Ministry with Josh and Caleb. Until then, keep showing up, keep loving students, and remember, you're not alone and you are valued.
Habakkuk!